Hi everyone, my name is Dogs, and thank you all for coming to my channel. So today I've been given the privilege to interview Lawrence Carrion, who came 5th out of top 8 at BCS Sydney for Shadowverse Evolved. So Lawrence, what were you playing at BCS Sydney?
I was playing I guess a hybrid or discard dragon for the event. Mainly because I thought it was the deck with the most well-rounded matchup spread. But it didn't really matter too much for the event because it was only Sword and Dragoncraft.
Oh.
But yeah.
Well, whenever you're ready.
That was my main issue. That was my main point of playing the deck. But yes, on to the deck profile. Mostly a pretty standard deck. You guys will probably see, with the deck choices that I made. So there's 3 Blazing Breath because it's basically Angelic Snipe that scales after you're in Overflow. Always very good to deal 4 damage for 1 play point. Bell Ringer, 3 Bell Ringers in the main deck. This is mostly just for this was mostly because it was to curb aggro, in particular with Sword and Abyss, those kind of decks. Even Forest, if anyone was not crazy enough, but motivated enough by the craft to bring that to the event. Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, don't sleep on Forest Craft, guys. But it's a good deck.
Yes,
good deck. And then there's 3 Dragonsong Flutes. So this one of your primary discard photos, and also it's a nice play to have after you ramp on turn 2 Oracle, for example. So you get what this card does is you get your Hellflame you play it for 1, and then you pay 3 to draw a card, and then you get a Hellflame Dragon, which is a token with which I'll show you now. Token with a 4/3 token with Rush. And that's very important for trading boards, establishing some kind of board presence after you ramp. So you're not just relying on a card a card from set 1, which is Dragon Warrior, to play well into 4 play points. And then the next card is new card from set 2, which is Dragon Tamer. Dragon Tamer is its effect is draw 1. And then you choose a card from your hand and discard it. So this one triggers your discard synergies in the deck, and then also basically increases the deck consistency by just drawing the extra cards, seeing filtering your hand, that kind of stuff. I'll go over the evolve later once we're done with the main deck. Of course, if you're playing Dragoncraft, you can't miss this card, Dragon Oracle, right? 3. It's pretty self-explanatory. You play 3, get more play points, and then if you draw multiples of this and resolve them early game without taking too much damage, the game's pretty much yours.
Pretty stonks.
Yeah, that's right. And then you've got something that's not a new card, but something that's that. The discard package from set 2 has allowed you to play. Has allowed the craft to play, which is Trail of Light. So where this card's effect is, you can play for 2 play points and draw a card. But mostly you don't really want that. You don't really want to play for that. If you're playing this for 2, it's usually because it's you're kind of desperate or just don't have any other plays for that, and you want to see another card. But the main reason why you're playing this card is because you want to discard it, and when it is discarded, you draw a card. So basically, all your discard effects become either they become +1s or +2s depending on the card. So Shenlong would become +2, and so Dragon Tamer would just become a +1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Floating advantage. But next card is something that that not every Dragoncraft plays, but I think it's something that that's definitely up for consideration, which is 2 Surefire Bullets. Now this card is that deals. It's a quick that costs 2 play points and then deals 3 damage. But if the target follower is evolved, it deals 4 damage. So this is very important for trading up in play points in the mirror match, and especially against Swordcraft's Floor Offensive, which is a very important. It can catch a lot of people off guard, But typically you don't play this in a I guess a discard list. It's more like a controlling card. But that, I guess, you can use that to surprise your opponents.
It's pretty good spice. Nice.
Yeah. There's also, and then there's new cards from set 2, which more new cards from set 2, which is Dracomancer's Rights. Now, what this card does is when you play it, it enters with the fanfare that has a discard cost, so that is optional, guys. So just keep that in mind. And after you discard a card, it gains +1. You don't. Now, that's not the main reason why you play this card. You play this card for its I guess end of turn effect. So at the end of your turn, if you've discarded a card, you can deal 2 damage to a target follower or a target or leader. So basically this card bridges that gap that Dragoncraft had in set 1, which is being able to deal face damage other than your storm followers. Like some people were like taking demonic strike, but this one does so much, because the fact that it's an amulet it makes it hard to remove, and it just continuously just sits there and gets you what it calls damage or like board control over the course of the game for just playing your deck. Is very good.
Oh,
very good. Obviously, it eats up your board slots, so don't be careful not to fill your board slots up too much. Oh yeah, that's something I forgot. In the one of the earlier cards, with Dragon Song Flute. So with Dragon Song Flute, it also has what it calls an overflow effect, where you can after you're in overflow, you can discard a card from your hand to get a Hellflame Dragon in your EX zone, which is very important for like trading boards and just getting through the wards for your bigger storm followers or something, or in Forte to get through. So, yeah. Sorry about missing that part of the card.
That's all good.
But the next is a pretty self-explanatory card, which is the 3 Dragon Warrior. Now you only ever play like 2 evolve copies of this card, which is it's just a vanilla when you play it for 3. But with this card, you in this meta especially, you want to see it all the time, like just to get board advantage in the early / mid game, and also like I guess just getting some damage in if your opponents can't trade into it.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Next one is another card from set 1 is a Serpent's Wrath, which is a quick. It costs 3 mana and deals 5 damage to a target. A target enemy follower. So if you're an overflow, you also draw 1. So it's a good card that kind of goes 2 for 1. Once you're an overflow, but it's also very good because it deals 5 damage for 3 play points, which allows you to trade up in either play points or just clear followers that would otherwise be like problematic. Like for example, Soul Dealer, I guess Dark General, even like Avant Blader, which is very very popular card in Sword. All of those cards are very popular, and also lets you trade with I guess some of your some bigger followers, which I'll come to in I guess in the Dragoncraft match.
Pretty strong free drop. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's always been very strong. I think I played it at 3 copies in set 1, but I think it's a card that'll continue to see play even going to Uma set and possibly set 3, I think. So, and then onto the 4 drops, we have the one of the strongest cards in the deck, not because of its base form, but its evolved form, which we'll see later. Dark Dragoon Forte. So it's a 5/1. So it's pretty good. It's good offensive stats for a 4-drop. 5/1 with Storm, and then evolves for 2. Now the evolve form will come to later. But yeah, this this card is kind of insane. It kind of makes the craft in a way right now.
You're not wrong. Very strong card.
Yeah, that's I've started to call. I've stopped calling it Forte and just called it Take 7. That kind of card. Yeah,
you're not wrong.
It's there's just no way to interact with it. So yeah. There's like triple Angelic Barrage, but like that's kind of like a fairy tale, like out to Forte.
Extremely niche. But it makes sense.
Yeah, but the other 4 drops I played for the event would be 2 execution. This card is you can swap it out for something else, like something like Erd if you want for this metagame. But I think this card is fine if you want to, like, you can hold it up for you can hold up 4 mana to threaten using it on like a follower, like with Storm that's coming out of their hand. As long as it's not Forte. You can use it to out Leonidas as well, which is probably its most important function. The Leonidas' Resolve, which is a really, really scary amulet. Like, if you leave that card on for more than like 2 turns against when you're in the Swordcraft matchup, it's probably for even more than a turn. It's probably game over for you. So, like, you really want to see this card in that matchup. And then next we have 5 drops, which I played triple Shenlong. Triple Shenlong. This card is another one of like Dragoncraft's very powerful cards, and like it's kind of like suspect to, or people are saying that it might get banned during the Uma meta, or even maybe before it as a preemptive thing, but I'm not sure. But I can see this card getting hit in the future. So what this card does is on Fanfare, it's a so it's a 5-drop on Fanfare that draws 2 cards and you discard a card. So triggers your discard synergies, filters through your deck. You draw more cards from your deck, and it also has Ward as a 4/5. So very good stats. And then it also evolves for 2, which we'll come to later.
It's pretty good because you have some synergy cards, like when they're discarded, you just draw cards. It's kind of
yes, that's right. Yeah, the package all just comes has really come together in the set too, which makes me like happy for the craft. So it just feels really nice to play in general. Okay, so the next 5-drop I play is double Conflag. Conflag would so Conflagration is a 5-drop spell that that deals 5 damage to all followers on the board. So that includes your own. So you have to be careful when you're using that. But this is mainly just for to take care of the matchups that go wide. So like Swordcraft, to an extent Abysscraft, and like Forestcraft, for example. It's decent in the mirror match as well if they like decide to if they ramp up to like multiple shapeshifting mages, that kind of stuff. But it's mostly for the sword matchup. You clear their boards, and then I guess just so you basically go up in card advantage with this card. You just bring it back to parity.
That's pretty strong. Definitely kind of change the tempo of the game just with that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then there's this is one of like I guess the more controversial non-standard picks that I've had it in the deck, where most people are probably playing like 2 of this, but I find that it's a little bit too high cost in this current meta, and it's just 1 Fafnir. Fafnir, sometimes I wish this was just another Conflag. But Fafnir having a body on top of dealing 5 damage, a one-sided 5 damage nuke to like your opponent's board is quite nice. So it's something that that they have to answer. Otherwise, they're going to deal. They have to worry about 7 damage to the face, for example, and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have the restrictions that the next card has for in terms of I guess attacking the enemy leader. And the next card is double Bahamut. So double Bahamut, the new card from set 2, and this card is a 9-drop 9/9 that on Fanfare, it destroys all each other follower on the field, and it also has an evolve for 0, which is very cool, which helps with I guess the sword matchup for the most part. And its other effect is that if there are at least 2 enemy followers on the field, it can't attack the enemy leader, even if they don't have wards. So that's why you kind of like want to run some additional like I guess board wipes on top of just Bahamut. So like that's what the Conflags and the Fafnirs like help do. So they clears the board, so Bahamut can go for it. 9 damage or 11 once it's evolved.
Yeah, far out. It's a big boy.
Yeah. It's mostly I'm playing 2 right now just because I want to see it against some. So yeah, you want to ramp up and then see it against sword to out their Leonidas boards or like set up that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then onto the evolve deck, we have this is a little bit more standard, like I guess more expected because you've already seen the main deck. But just one bell ringer helps with the early game with early game shenanigans. And then I guess sometimes triggers. Sometimes you can play bell ringer from your hand, and then to kill a Leonidas that they've left standing up that's loot something on your field because it's on 2 health, and then you can use execution to follow it up or something to clear the amulet that comes out from Leonidas, which is again very annoying, very annoying, but very beneficial for the sword player. So that's why it's very annoying for you as the opponent. Next is one Dragon Tamer. Now Dragon Tamer on evolve is has a discard cost, so discard a card from your hand, and then it can recur any Wormkin from your graveyard. Now, there are 3 targets only at this in this deck, and that those would be Dragon Warrior. Now, I initially thought this card was very much more powerful than it was. It could recur any Wormkin card, and I read Dragon Oracle and it said Wormkin. So if it could recur Dragon Oracle, this card would be insane. Probably warrants some kind of restriction, but alas, that is not the case. But yeah, the targets are Dragon Warrior, Shenlong, very important cards, and then also Fafnir. Genesis Dragon would also be a target, but I don't currently play that in my list. But it's definitely like any of the high drops, like even like a 1 Bahamut or even this Fafnir could be switched out if you want to play Genesis Dragon, which I'll go over with you guys in the tech slots for this deck.
It's nice. They have like a nice little spread for the evolved card. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this evolve actually just helps you. The Dragon Tamer, that is, also helps you with like dealing with the early pressure that the crafts like Sword or Abyss puts out. Like you don't have to pay that cost to recur something. That, again, keep that in mind. Yeah. And then, as I mentioned earlier, 2 Dragon Warrior. This is pretty self-explanatory. Curb the aggression or like take over the board with this effect, and then you get left with a 4/4 that can just, I guess you can just do whatever with trade, go face if it survives a turn, that kind of stuff. Next is the big card that I was mentioning with Forte. So the reason why Forte is so good, basically, the evolved form of Forte becomes a 7/3, which is still fairly easy to out, is as long as you like in terms of like trading into it, but it now has aura. So now all those those nice cards that you can activate during your opponent's turn when their creatures are attacking, like don't mean anything to this card, except of course Angelic Barrage, which I mentioned earlier, but again that's like a little bit of a fairy tale out to this card. You're going for it for one. Like, so I think if you're if you're taking a triple Angelic Barrage to out this card, I think you'll take that.
Oh, definitely. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a very, very neg. And then I guess this is like a somewhat non-standard part of the list where most people only run 2 of this card, but to make room for other cards. And this is a triple Shenlong. So Shenlong on evolve has 5/6. It takes 2 to evolve it, so basically a total of 7 play points, 6 and an Evo point if you have an Evo point. But yeah, when it evolves, it you gain your leader gains 5 health. So that's very good for it makes your life total like less of a problem because you're probably ramping up in the early game, that kind of stuff. And then also helps you in the mid game to like escape like lethal ranges by having a 5. It basically effectively gives you 11 health. Now it's not because of its 6 health as a ward, so that's not it's kind of like a soft 11 health, but the 5 health and the 6 health body 6 health ward is very, very helpful.
Yeah, Shenlong seems very versatile. It's nice.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's why it may be due for a restriction. But I guess we'll see what Bushiroad or Cygames decides to do with the English version. We'll see. And then the last card in the Evolve deck is the Evolve Bahamut. So it becomes 11/11, and on Evolve, it still has that restriction on the leader attack as it did for the base form. But on Evolve, this one clears all amulets. So basically, Bahamut becomes a nuke for like a Leonidas. So like something that comes up that sometimes comes up with against sword players is that they just leave us like a full, like they play Leonidas and then evolve it into an empty board of yours, and then basically the Bahamut helps, like, I guess, answer that in a way, by clearing the Leonidas, triggering its last words, and then clearing the amulet. So yeah, that's it for I guess, you know, the deck that I would have taken to what he calls to the regionals, because I actually took a different deck to that, which included some of these tech slots that these tech cards that are about to mention. I think I would have done much better with this deck list going into the event, but you know, things have happened, so and I hope to do better in the last chance qualifier and get my Worlds invite there. Yeah, and then so like going into the tech slots, this would be the Shapeshifting Mage, Eve main deck, and the Eve Prepare, of course. So what this card does is that it's it just has an evolve for 1, and on Fanfare, if Overflow is active, which is when you have 7 or more play points, it gains +3/+3, so it becomes a 2-drop 5/5.
Damn.
Now, I mean, Dragon players from set 1 will be very familiar with this card, and then when it evolves, it also gains Assail and Bane, so it can basically kill anything on the board, except like minus Heavenly Aegis, that kind of card, basically. But that's another that's another thing entirely with that card. But yeah, very efficient card. This is something I took to. This was in my deck for the event over the Dragon Tamers, but I found that this card didn't. Since it didn't you know, trigger any discards synergies with the deck, I found myself bricking on this card a little bit more than I than I would have liked. But yeah, that's my opinion on that card. But it's definitely not a bad card, worth the inclusion if you decide to play a lower to the ground Dragoncraft deck, where, you know, you're not relying on Oracle so much. Next would be more ramp for the deck, more ramp options. So you could play Ayala. I think with Ayala you need to play either 2 or 3 in the deck. Playing 1 Ayala just seems a little bit too inconsistent for that kind of deck, for that kind of I guess deck space. If you were to play Ayala at 1, you could probably just play another card that does more for you rather than the Ayala. So yeah, Ayala is a card with Assail. It's a 3/2 for 3, and when it dies on last words, so you do need to watch out for those nasty banishes with this card, or like things that don't send it to don't send it to the graveyard. But on last words, it basically acts as another Oracle, so it allows you to ramp it to your top end faster. Next card is a card that's much more relevant in this meta, because of you know, the looming threat of Leonidas, which is Erd. So you can play, in my opinion, you can play anywhere between 2 to 3 Erd in the main deck, or like 1 to 3 Erd in the main deck, and then 1 to 2, sorry, in the Evolve deck. Now, what Erd does is it pushes, so it basically selects an enemy follower and then puts it into the EX zone. So it doesn't trigger any last word effects. So it's very good against very powerful last words effects cards such as like Ayala, and mostly you want to be targeting Leonidas with this. And it's also a good 2-for-1 because when you evolve it, it becomes a 3/3, which can attack rush, and then also banishes a card in their EX zone. So like you can use it against Haven when they resolve, and Statue Seraph, that kind of stuff. To I guess at least lower the efficacy of that card, and then make it better for you in the late game. More cards, more tech cards that you can consider as playing this deck is 2 to 3 Dark Angel Olivia. So you can probably if you were to replace a card for this card in the main deck, you could consider taking out conflags or the surefire bullets, something like that. What Olivia has 4 modes. Show on Fanfare, you can trigger 4 of those modes. Sorry, 2 of those modes. So those modes are draw a card, heal 3 life, gain an evolution point, or make your opponent discard a card. So very good card that leaves also a 5/5 body behind for only 5 play points. So yeah, it's a very versatile card, and you'll probably want to pick up the copies of this card as soon as you can, because it'll see quite a bit of play going into the future in any deck. Really, it doesn't have to be Dragon.
Yeah, it's really nice. Sam, so versatile with what you can do with it.
Yes, exactly. It's the only thing it doesn't do is deal face damage, which I think would make it too powerful. But yeah, so some other, and then I guess getting onto the tail end of the text is Imperial Dragoon in the main deck and in the one in the Evolve deck probably. This card is I guess gives the deck a little bit more reach if you're missing that in from your top end of Dragoncraft. So rather than so what it does is on Fanfare you discard your hand, and which is not a great not a great thing to feel. It's like you're going into 0 cards, but what it gives you for that massive cost is it deals X to the X damage to the board and the enemy leader, where X is the number of cards they discarded. And then when it evolves, it evolves for 1 play point. So basically, this would be like a 9 play point play. On evolve, you draw 3 cards. So you get some cards back you discarded. So hopefully you've triggered. So with this card, you trigger your discard synergies, particularly your Draconic Rites, the 3-cost amulet, and then also wipe the board and deal some face damage. So and then also leave behind a 7/7 body, so for the opponent to deal with. So it can be good, very situationally. I tested this earlier in the in the set 2 meta. I didn't like it so much, but it's definitely something that you can consider if you're, I guess, the more aggressive kind of Dragoncraft or discard dragon player. And then lastly is good old Genesis Dragon, the 9-drop that the 9-drop that is a 10/12 and has I guess every Shadowverse player's favorite keyword, which is Storm, which means it can attack the enemy leader as soon as you put it onto the board. It does cost 9, so it's practically your whole turn. But in Dragoncraft, sometimes you ramp up to that fast enough where you get this card down, and then it just deals 10 damage, and it's really hard to deal with. But I chose not to play it, but it's definitely something that you can play because it is also a Wormkin, so you can recur it with with Dragon Tamer as well. Just discard it early and then to unbreak yourself, and then recur it sometime later in the game.
Right. So, if you remember, what were your matchups throughout the day?
Yeah, that's the fun part actually. Well, I faced nothing but sword in in the qualifiers. I fortunately had a bye for my first round, but yeah, it was nothing but sword after that. It was in the Swiss, and then in the top 8 it was just sword. I unfortunately only I lost to my good friend in the top 8. So I'm glad which he converted into getting an invite for himself. So I'm very happy for him. But it was sword all day. I was hoping for at least one Dragon Mirror, but Dragon Mirrors tend to be very volatile as well. So it was probably for the best that I ran into sword rather than the dragon, like any Dragon Mirrors. If for the event.
You're far out.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. There are definitely things that I'd like to try more with this deck. Even after the regional, but by the time I guess something like a critical event rolls around, it will be Uma set. So I'll probably come back on the channel to do another deck profile for that if Adam is willing to host that.
100%.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Those ones are that deck profile will probably be a lot more straightforward. Looking at the card choices that we have available. Yeah.
That sounds good. So
Yeah.
do you have any shout-outs at all you'd like to give out?
Yeah. So I'd like to, I guess, give a shout out to my friends who help what it goes test help me test decks a lot, and just play local. So would be to what it goes Henry Lee, uh, we've got Alexander Chapkin, Brendan Ma, Stanley Cheng, and the list goes on really. And I guess Jerry Wang as well, like who's kind of like a bit more enigmatic in terms of his appearances at locals. But when he turns up, it's a fun time. So yeah. So like it was just a lot more people did help looking to test these kind of decks. This deck for the regional. So huge thanks to them.
No, it's great to hear. So, I think we'll leave it at that. But no, again, thank you so much for giving me the privilege to actually see what you're running for your Dragoncraft deck for the viewers to have a look at, give us some ideas, and I really do appreciate you also giving people some options as well. So, if they're potentially attending a event in the future, maybe locals or a like an invitational. It kind of gives them a baseline, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. So if anyone is ever in the Sydney area, going to locals and see me around, Lawrence Carrion, or however, sometimes I go by my name is Jeff or OOC. Those kind of get tags for my my screen name. Just come to me, and I'm happy to have a conversation about Shadowverse, or just give you a few games. It'll be great.
Well, thank you for everyone who did watch the video. If you did like it, make sure to leave a like down below. And while you're there, why not subscribe and hit the notification bell so when I upload another video, you will be notified. Dogs out. See ya.